anybody. I don't blame you at all.
Kristen,
Yes, what were you going to say, darling?
Hold on. I have
what were you going to say, darling? I know you do.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Do people often think of you as a racist?
Think of me?
Yeah.
Well, have you seen episodes of crime shows, things like that?
No, she's a racist.
Scenarios.
Answer that question. She thought that.
Kristen, I'm not attacking you. Hold on.
If you follow me and you,
I'm not attacking you. Hold on. I have a question.
I'm not saying you're attacking me. I'm saying that if you follow me,
I have a question.
And you can make up your own mind.
I have a question. I have a question for you.
Of course.
Ish, please mute up.
I like it that you're interested in me. This is really cute, Roger. I know you have a slight crush on me, but it is because
you're delightful. I just have a question. I don't know you're so defensive. It's just a simple question. Just a simple question.
Yes, darling.
So, would you be more afraid if it was a black man or a white man?
I would actually not be afraid. I just wouldn't engage. So, I would be more afraid if it was a white man, frankly.
Whoa! I gotcha.
If life has been my experience, I would be more afraid of white men. In fact, I haven't really physically dated anybody for about 3 years, and that's been by choice. It's not a crowing thing or anything like that. It's just mainly older, wiser, and had the wool pull over me. I've been a fool, and so I just have to be more careful.
Fair enough. I have a question for Ish. Ish, when Kristen said that she's not afraid of either, but
she has a greater fear of white men approaching her than black men in solicitation at the car door.
Ish, this is your time to unmute.
Is Ish a black man?
It's crazy you asked that, because after he said it, I wanted to come off mic like, stop the bullshit.
You're a black man, yeah?
Wow, that's a following of Kristen?
She has a
Jesus.
greater fear of white men.
Roger, are you a white man?
I don't like this whole racial binary thing that you're doing here.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm just wondering, because I wondered if you were offended by what I was saying because you were a white man or because you're a black man. I couldn't figure.
I identify as a Hispanic man. Is that okay with you, Kristen?
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. No, I like Latinos. I love them.
I didn't say I am Latino. I said that I identify as one. Saying I identify as something is the same as saying I pretend to be something.
True. That's a good reformulation. I'm curious, Christina, like, what's your socio-economic background? Did you grow up like relatively poor?
Yeah, can you look at my picture? So that's what I look like. I have dark hair, dark eyes, and I have pale skin. I'm actually adopted. I did 23andMe. I was raised with a Polish mother and an Irish German father, so I identify as white. And I was raised in the Atlanta outskirts, and I still exist there.
Do you know what socioeconomic means?
Right, because you do struggle with
definitely upper middle class. And I went to a program that taught me how to be articulate. So, what else do you want to know? I'm not doing this as a dating site though. So, what else do you want to know?
Oh, I'm not interested in that way, but
okay.
You know, you are presentable.
Continue.
Nonetheless,
I know I'm new to you.
What you call it? What neighborhood or area did you say that was again?
That I was raised?
Right.
I was raised in the country-ish kind of place of suburbia called Lilburn, Georgia.
Okay, in Milburn, Georgia, no doubt.
Lilburn, Georgia. Sorry.
Lilburn, pardon me. And was that like a real diverse place?
No, not at all. It was mostly white people.
Wow, intriguing.
Yeah, it was very racist growing up. I didn't experience this, but the people, the black population in that area, especially Stone Mountain, and if you're familiar with Atlanta, I can say this, Unfortunately, there was a lot of racism. So, Stone Mountain was, which was about 30 minutes from me, was a privately owned piece of land that would celebrate the Confederacy. It is now, I think it's state or national, I can't remember, but now it's obviously been neutralized, which is good. But yeah, growing up, it was very Confederate, yay, go Confederacy. And if you were of darker skin and you were in the Stone Mountain area after dark, that was a very dangerous and scary place to be. So where I grew up was, it has since, thank God, become more diverse. But it was basically black and white.
And I'm curious, despite these social conditions, how did you find yourself, overcoming this and today being more fearful of white men than black men?
Well, I date white men.
No doubt. You ever dated a black man?
I did when I was in second grade. Does that count?
Ish over here shooting a shot. Go for it, Pimpin.
I know, right? I'm like,
Not even. I'm just trying to.
do you like white women?
I wouldn't say it's my preference, but if a woman is beautiful,
Okay. That's me too. I'm mostly straight, but I think women are beautiful, and I have felt feelings for another woman before. But basically, I would consider me white. I would consider my socioeconomic
Please text me a
status
picture of
growing
their
up
feet for
was
$10.
middle class.
Send cash up username as well. Through scientific feet research, we can solve all the problems facing Americans.
If you will, if you have to put me in a class. So that's me. Anything else?
So when are you gonna try black man?
Try? Is that a drug?
It can be. So I hear. Rumor has it.
Well, if I meet someone who I'm attracted to and we have a lot of the same goals.
Kristen, have you ever heard of the term BBC?
Foot sciences is often overlooked in terms of rigorous academic and scientific
When you
investigation.
think of the term BBC,
Are you guys is it gonna be in the range, is it gonna be Roger-ish? Because that'll be interesting. I was kind of looking at Dr. Gordon over here, but I know he's mad at me, so.
yeah, well, as it should be. My question, though, for you is, when you hear the term BBC, what goes through?
It goes to my mind is British, what is it called? British,
Broadcaster.
yeah, channel.
No doubt.
I don't know what it stands for.
Yeah, well,
What about you? What about you? What do you think? What do you think when you hear BBC? How were you raised?
we don't know.
Well,
Text
what was it?
312-498-0517.
Well, you know what we're talking about when we say BBC. Roger knows. We all know. It's okay.
Kristen, are you liberal?
I don't know what I am, frankly.
That's
I'm
what's
so
up.
sorry. Yeah, I really don't know. I know it sounds screwed up, but I really don't.
$10 for 2 feet,
I have a
$5
question.
for 1 foot.
What other meaning does BBC have other than British Broadcasting Corporation? Because I am aware of no other meaning for that.
Emily, have you ever heard the term big black cock?
Yes.
No, I have not.
Now that you've heard the term big black cock, when you hear the term, when you hear the acronym BBC, I'd like for you to picture a big black cock.
Okay, but I probably
Also, it's okay that other people haven't heard of this. Maybe they need experience. But as I said, I'm not really in the dating scene right now. So is that okay with you guys, or do you want to continue asking me questions? Because I think the room is bored of this right now. I'm not that interested.
Oh, I was fine with it. I was just intrigued. What you call it?
Oh, I bet you were.
Trying to get the
No. Would you like to make any more?
I was asking some questions about, your fear, and you were saying how you're more scared of white men, but you grew up around white men, You didn't really grow up in proximity to the black community.
Right.
So, you
So
know.
why would I have any fear about a black man? If my experience in life has been mostly from violence and sexual harassment from white people.
You mentioned how, you know, the environment around you was very
Yes, which, and you know that a lot of black men still today will not go into an elevator with a white woman.
Oh, absolutely not.
So, which one is racist? So you understand why I never had a bad encounter with a black man, because they'd stayed away from me, and they didn't want to get in trouble.
Well,
I've never had an issue with black men.
I'm not saying you ever had one.
Are you putting me in are you trying to lump me into a
Useless discourse
people?
101.
Is that what you're alluding to?
Well, I'm definitely profiling you with these questions.
I'm aware.
No
Please
doubt.
continue. I like transparency.
Yeah,
Anything you want to know about me that is pertinent to anything, including this conversation, can be found on Google, I'm sure. Look me up, do your research.
No doubt.
Hold on. Bruce, I got a question for you. Everyone mute up. When I say mute up, that means mute up. Rooster, get your ass up here. Don't be shy. Got a question for you. Hey, how come you weren't in Redmond today for the car show?
It's too hot.
All right, fair enough.
Too hot for me.
Fair enough. It is a hot day, but some crazy cars up there.
So on this topic,
Yo, by the way, Kristen, you know, I don't really got no problems with you. I was just trying to get a feel for who I was dealing with. Earlier, you said that, you know, you're more fearful of white. You grew up in a majority white community. It was pretty racist. So you were probably conditioned to have some racist sentiments, but yet today,
Yes, I was.
a grown woman, you know, more fearful of black men. And I guess I was just trying to make sense of your upbringing and how you arrived where you are now, or just being more fearful of white men.
Yeah, that's cool. I understand. Also, Bieber, I'm not craving just BBC. I'm craving definitely. It's been 3 years. I'm not desperate, but yeah, I like sex. Anything else?
There you go.
Well, if you're over 5'10", I can introduce you to Marvin.
I'm not. I'm 5'7".
All right. Well, Marvin would not sleep with you.
Okay? That's fine.
He has his standards. We all understand. But you know, he wouldn't
We
sleep with
absolutely
people that are under 5'10". Dr. Jordan, did you want to jump into the conversation?
No, Jordan. But I leave ashes in Dr. Jordan's mouth. He's mad at me.
I was just thinking if the color of the gentleman that was walking with my car, if his skin color was white, because it wasn't, yeah, that's fine. Would that have made me any less scared? And I was thinking, no, it wouldn't. Any white dude, especially up here, is probably that bad. Walking up to my car with no shirt on, with beer in his hand, I would have been.
You know, what you call it? I think it was, when did women get their rights in this country for real? That was what, the 20th century? Like Shirley Chisholm and all that?
What do you mean about voting? 1925.
No doubt.
Yeah, we didn't have full rights, even though we had the right to vote. I can't remember.
When did the black man and the black woman in America achieve freedom from chattel slavery?
Total? I mean,
They call that 1865?
technically, but not entirely.
I mean, you know, that's the so-called official date. But yeah, like you said, technically, not entirely. It was only nominal.
So I just want to say this is Tiffany Sotheby, and I know this is a very intimate setting.
We got the right to vote in the 19th Amendment, which was back in 1920.
My bad. Is it just me? Whoever just spoke
Stuff
to
for what?
super low.
Ish. The 19th Amendment granted the women the right to vote. It was ratified in 1920.
Slow down.
Yeah, and we've been paying ever since. Just kidding.
The ERA, which was the Equal Rights Amendment, failed and never passed as an additional amendment.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was like tripped up with like liberal causes and stuff too, right? There was like a good reason.
Abby, I meant to ask you.
The ERA?
Yeah, it was pushed like the people I guess that were associated with it were like very radical or something.
Well, I don't know. 224.
Oh, should we get a cocktail tonight?
But it was countered by a lot of. There were women that countered it, like in the days of Anita Bryant. Anyway, they didn't pass it.
It's funny you mentioned Gloria Steinem. I was gonna skip past that fun fact, but she was definitely what you call that, a CIA operative throughout that time, like during the women's feminist movement, and she was essentially used to socially engineer sentiments into black culture that would essentially promote, women looking down upon certain radical figures like Harriet Tubman. What else? Abandoning their.
Where do you get this dish? Gloria Steinem is, by the way, still alive, still giving interviews. So where are you getting that she was a CIA? I gotta hear this.
I mean, if you do a simple Google search, you will find the article. It's probably harder to find now because she's doing a lot of her CIA work overseas. I think she's in Colombia right now.
Same Gloria Steinem?
Yeah, we're talking about the feminist Gloria Steinem. She was a CIA.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. She's actually open about this. She spoke very openly about her involvement within the 50s and 60s. This is not. He's not making this up.
In the 50s and 60s, before the push on the website, like, explain that. I've absolutely never heard this.
You've never heard her talk about it?
No, I've heard her talk about the women's rights movement.
No, I'm talking about her involvement with the CIA. You've never heard her talk about it?
No.
Yeah, it's out there. It's interesting.
Right. We don't know. Just her or the other women that were like ready for dance as well?
Women. Several of them. She's the one that's out here doing interviews though. And she was, like I said, leveraged by the CIA. That was, no different from the Ku Klux Klan, essentially at this time, right? And she was used to socially engineer sentiments within the culture that wouldn't benefit black people. She co-sponsored a book written by a black woman by the name of Michelle Wallace. And this black woman would be the equivalent of like a self-hating Jew. Like she, writes the book.
She's the Norman Finkelstein.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
She writes the book. She's co-signed by, legitimate white people, and I'm sure that had a great effect, especially at that time. And, she seems as though she's a legitimate figure considering her background, and her sentiments are all about abandoning your man, doing it all on your own, right? Essentially seeing no value in the nuclear family, and certain historical figures that had a role in resisting what we know today or call today white supremacy. In that era, when she wrote about them, she essentially criticized them. And this was the CIA's proxy attempt to influence the cultural sentiment of the black community through Gloria Steinem, who, is a white supremacist.
Are you sure you're not giving the CIA too much credit in influencing black culture in this country? Are you sure it's not organic?
No, I promise you. Do the research.
Is it true that Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac were CIA assassin agents?
Hey, hold on. I did pin a link to the top of the page. There's other things that you could look up to, to go down the rabbit hole, but this is a good starting point for anybody that wants to learn about her involvement with the CIA.
You pinned the link where?
Top of the page.
She was advancing a white supremacist cause. She worked on behalf of a white supremacist organization. Her speech could be one thing, but her decisions definitely reflected another. And, she associated with an organization that was responsible for political assassinations, undermining political speech that wasn't favored, particularly within the black community, right? Everybody knows about, even though this is a separate organization, the FBI, near complicity in the assassinations of folks like Malcolm X, individuals like Fred Hampton, right? So, if you were a black political figure at that time, right, then you may have been put on the list. Some know this list to be COINTELPRO. And if you presented enough of a threat, then you would be effectively neutralized. And this is why Malcolm X's family now has a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the FBI and the NYPD because in 2024, well, prior to 2024, we've now confirmed that the government was complicit in this assassination. They went as far as to make sure he didn't have security when he was going to speak at the ballroom. But that's a separate issue. These white supremacist organizations have conspired decade after decade after decade in the name of undermining the black community. And while anti-Semitism is a reality that does need to be embraced and, brought to the forefront, right? It feels as though the way we speak about anti-blackness with characters like Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley, who just go out of their way to ignore the reality of racism in this country and the level of state-sanctioned terror that's been directed at black people, it seems like, that issue is taken for granted. We're only decades removed, and it's my
Yeah, but they never talk about spirituality or enlightenment or wisdom or all kinds of things.
Can you just be quiet for a second, Tiffany, and let him finish? Because I want to respond to him. And
we're only decades removed, right, from the head of the CIA showing up to a community center in LA who addressed black people for accidentally supporting narco traffickers that, were flooding the community with the crack cocaine that resulted in dramatic prison sentences that sent black men away for years and, just the devastation of the black community. We're only decades removed from that, but we don't really talk about it.
Now you're talking about things you can't prove. When you were talking about Gloria Steinem, she acknowledges her involvement with the CIA, but when you start, talking about your conspiracy theories, like how deep are you gonna go? Gary Webb? Is Gary Webb you're smoking?
So, this isn't a conspiracy theory. He literally went to a community center in LA, right? The Iran-Contra. The affair in Nicaragua that folks were trying to fund, okay? There was a drug trafficker by the name of Manilo Blandon who was a CIA asset. He was trafficking tons of narcotics into the United States and working in partnership with a drug dealer by the name of Freeway Rick Ross.
Hold on. I'm going to pause you right there. So, for people that don't understand, the story that Ish is sharing is a widely debunked story that was written by a reporter for the Mercury News named Gary Webb. And this story has been debunked multiple times. But here's the thing that is fascinating that I will give you is that after it was debunked, Gary Webb did commit suicide
Wait, real quick, people do shoot themselves twice. I looked it up. It happens a lot more than you would think. Trying to commit suicide by shooting themselves twice. It's weird, but it does happen.
Yeah, and in the back of the head too. It's fascinating.
I just want to argue that the CIA was, the way it's painting it as a white supremacist organization. CIA also was protecting our country and making sure that we were safe on our soil. So to take out people like Kitover.
My bad, you're coming a bit out.
I'm just.
Yeah, I think, I was gonna say the same thing. So the CIA does more than just assassinate black leaders. Like, they've done a lot more than that.
They also assassinate white leaders. That's true.
So, say Gloria Steinem is a white supremacist because she was part of an organization that may have assassinated black leaders. That doesn't hold water for me. She just worked for an agency that serves the United States of America in many capacities.
Look, at the end of the
Just like
day,
Julia Child was in wasn't she part of SPY during World War II? Yes. I forget what the network was. I mean, lots of notable figures that worked for the U.S. government gathering information. Doesn't make them supreme.
The problem here is when you simultaneously